I'm going to go through some different chicken housing systems. The chicken tractor I'm sitting in at the moment is the lightweight, move several times a day chicken tractor. It's only weighs maybe 10 kilograms, and it can house 3 chickens easily. It's got a large flap. It's got some height so I can almost stand up in it. And it's good for moving around areas where the chickens can both find some insects in the mulch, and they can create a dust bath for themselves, and they can potentially turn over weedy areas or convert areas from weeds to potentially useful areas that you can plant out later. In terms of amenities, it's got some entry flaps that are weighted down, so they'll stay still, but they allow me to join these to tractors, other tractor systems, and then it's got a water supply, just enough to last for a day, and that's with a simple nipple system attached to a bottle, so that they can happily go on their wander through the day. So this is a simple, lightweight system for giving the chickens access to areas around your yard. Okay, another chicken tractor system I use is also based on the intermediate bulk container, the IBC. I find a lot of uses for IBCs here. I'm using one as a wicking garden bed. This one is set up with chicken. This is actually dog mesh around the bulk of the tractor, around of the frame. It's got shade cloth. So one important thing to think about with chickens is that they're forest animals who are always don't want to be out in the broad sun. They need somewhere to scratch. So they're evolved to live in a forest where they can scratch around under the trees and find their food. Now I've got an access point here where I can pull up another tractor, or I can let the chickens get access to the chickens that way. Other features of the tractor. This is an optional extra, which is a motion activated solar powered light, which I find useful for getting access at night. So the main predator problem in our location is foxes. So this potentially is going to startle a fox that comes up at night, but also I can see if a fox is coming in. If we come around the business end of the tractor, I've got access to 3 points here. I've got a 20-litre container that's filled through this hole, and then underneath the 20-litre container, you probably can't see that well. It's essentially a container like this, suspended inside the frame, and on the base of that 3 water dispensing nipples, so that chickens have access to clean water. There's another container, similar one, but this one is cut so that it provides access to the laying box. So I've got three chickens in this tractor. and they're very reliably laying eggs. And it's a hole that's big enough that I can easily get my my fist through with a couple of eggs, but the chickens aren't interested in getting through a hole that size. There's a bit of extra protection so that it stays dark for them. They like a dark place to lay their eggs, and then I've got an extra bit of fox protection over that with the some metal grid that hangs down over them. And then there's a third container which contains grain-based chicken feed. It can hold about 20 litres of feed. I have a funnel permanently hooked in that I can access and load up the feed dispenser. I'll just show you how that feed dispenser works. It's got two components. It's got a 90-degree elbow with a flange. You can buy these at a range of plumbing services. Often they're two pieces. This one-piece unit is sold by quite a few rainwater supply companies, and simply cutting a hole to that 90mm dimension, and then placing that on the inside with just putting some screws through the flange. That sits inside there. The feed drops down around the elbow, and the chickens put their head through the hole to access the food, which sits at the bottom. I found this a really useful feeding system. I've been using it for quite a few years. And if you suspend the container or put it on a brick, then rodents can't get access. They can't climb up this smooth surface, and they can't launch themselves in there. So you've got an area where the feed remains clean. It doesn't spill out where either other birds, either wild birds or rodents, can get access to it. And you avoid a lot of those pest problems that follow weeds, especially snakes. Follow mice, especially snakes. Okay, so this is also a mobile unit. So it's I can just lift that, with one hand. It's suitable for moving at the rate of maybe once a week to access different parts of the garden, and the chickens can find interesting places. So also you can see some bars at the top of inside the tractor with roosts. So in this single unit there's everything the chickens need: water, laying box, food, and a roost. So in order to provide a good chicken system, you've got to understand the needs of chickens, but you've also got to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the chicken farmer. I'm not much of a builder, so hence I've gone with these prefabricated structures. And now I'm just going to talk about an enclosed system, the larger system, where from the chicken tractor I've got a line which is suspended back over the access from outside. I'm now sitting inside the 12-15 square metre run that the chickens have access to. They're not interested in walking out just yet, and this is a very simple structure with 2 metre tall chicken wire just wrapped around some star pickets in the ground, and it's about 3 metres by 3 metres by 4 metres. in circumference, and this provides a deep litter area that the chickens can happily spend the day in, and at night they'll return to the roost, and we'll close the access door. So the main problem here, as I was saying, is predation from foxes. So there's a secure tractor that the chickens spend the night in. So one feature of this fenced off area adjacent to the chicken tractor is that it's really very simple and flimsy. The benefit of having a flimsy fencing system is that chickens are poor flyers, and they won't go over a fence unless it's a rigid fence that they can do half the trip, perch, and then drop down on the other side. So if they're given a top of the fence that's wobbly like this, they're very disencouraged to make that first leap. And this is just a simple suspension of 2 metre tall chicken wire around star pickets. It's enclosing an area which is about 3 or 4 metres square. It provides the chickens with quite a broad area where they can scratch, find insects, and create their dust baths. So they can happily spend days in this area and have a happy free range life.